All right. My next guest is a guy that has been down with Kumite TV from the beginning, always, giving me his time. Martin Nguyen, double champ, reigning champ right now for one championship, featherweight king. What's going on, man?
Good champ. I'll correct you there, but no, I'll take that. Yeah, I'm good, man. It's good to be back here.
Definitely, man. Let's get right into it. We talked last time before your fight, your second title defense in Manila last April. You went in there, you got it done, flying knee, knockout against Jadamba. Was that the biggest highlight of your career so far?
Um, it can be, but I'd say the biggest highlight of my career would be beating Edward in the Philippines. But yeah, like in terms of any bout that I win, it's a massive highlight because all my opponents are high level.
Definitely, Jadamba, he's a tough guy. That flying knee, it was incredible. Did you see that in your preparations, or were you just free flowing inside that cage?
Now I'm always a free flower, man. Like I move around and I like to do my thing and like to get into the rhythm and just like I, I I've been told this many times by my coach. We've been practicing flying knees for like the last 3 years, and never had I ever had the confidence to throw a knee up until when I came into HardKnocks camp. Working with Henri Hooft, it's all Dutch kickboxing. It's all throwing the knees and using everything that you have. It's not like a fist and feet game. It's limbs, every single limbs that you can use possible. So since working with Henry, we've been sharpening everything, every single tool we can. And when it came to the flying knee, I mean, flying knee wasn't part of the process. It was with my other coach Chrysler, but working with Henry just gave me the confidence in throwing it. And when Jadamba was going backwards, I thought, yeah, it's now or it's never. If it lands, it lands. If it doesn't, then you still hurt him, and like you still got time to put him away. So I just threw it, man. Just went into it.
You've always been confident in your striking, but does it seem like your striking has, hit another level working with Henry Hoof? You become more, free, like you said, free flowing, but, is it just like it's easier to pull the trigger?
Definitely, man. Working with Henry and like getting my hands and feet corrected by the likes of Angla and the guys in the gym. Um, Man, it's just I'd say it hasn't really evolved, but I say it's matured. Like my striking, like I'm throwing in more with confidence, um, more than just putting my head down and just throwing it and hoping. So everything that I throw now, it's all part of the game plan to chip you away, and then put you out. So that's that's how my game has evolved and matured, and working with the likes of world class strikers has has pushed it beyond that level.
That finish, it made it up on SportsCenter's top 10. How did you react to that,
That's
being
it.
number 2? Yeah, it was like I think it's the first highlight of one championship, any one championship fight to make it on SportsCenter, right? What was the reaction, your reaction, the reaction around you?
Look, I didn't even know what Sports Center was. Like I know obviously ESPN, but I didn't know that they did like somewhat of countdown and best plays of the week or whatever until I came. Like one of my friends, yeah, sent it over to me and said I was number two, and I was like, what the hell? So then, actually, yeah, so it was our physio over here, our acupuncture guy, because he follows Angla and I. He's seen it on ESPN Sports Center, and he sent it to Angla, and then Angla sent it to me. But when I first seen it, I was like, oh yeah, it's just another countdown. But then when one championship started sharing and everyone else started sharing, I realized how big it actually was. But yeah, it was just, and it's an honor to get onto something like that. But ultimately, it's not the main goal.
Going into that fight, you had a new team, new coaches, new training partners. You spent a lot of time away from your family, which was something new also. A lot of questions going into that fight. Was there, a lot of pressure on you to perform compared to your past fights?
Yeah, I was look coming off an injury and coming off a loss at bantamweight. I really wanted to prove myself because, as I said, I felt like um, I hadn't reached the peak of my career yet, and I haven't reached that level where everyone was putting me on a pedestal because I'd won the titles. I felt like I hadn't reached that level to be owning those titles yet. So, although I do own it, and I'm at the top of the game in one championship, I feel that I haven't reached the top of my game yet, and people are just seeing me scratch the surface of my peak, and yeah, in a way it can work out good, in a way it can work out bad. But for me, it's more inside, it's more mental, it's more something that I had to prove. Not proving myself, but prove that I can be and I will be one of the top guys in this division.
You're back in Manila now, your third featherweight title defense is coming up. Koyomi Matsushima. When did he hit your radar as a potential contender in the division?
Yeah. So at first, when he was fighting Gafarov, I thought, you know what, they're building Gafarov up, and they want Gafarov probably to fight another world title shot against me. And I'm all up for a trilogy fight with Gafarov, and then Matsushima. I watched the fight with Matsushima. I never even heard of Matsushima in my whole life, and he knocked out Gafarov, in which, while watching that fight, I was like, man, Gafarov's gonna get knocked out. He's getting frustrated by this Japanese bloke who keeps moving around and tagging him with leg kicks. He's getting frustrated, and he's rushing in to try to get a leg kick back, but he's leaving everything else exposed. I mean, at that stage, I thought, like, man, anyone can knock this guy out. Man, Gary Tonin can knock this guy out. And sure enough, Matsushima threw a right hook, and yeah, TKO'd him. And I thought, you know what, this guy can actually be a contender. He's pretty smart. He's pretty, like, he's got footwork. He's got yeah, champion qualities. And yeah, from there I started following more on his radar, like not searching him up, but knowing that he's probably one of the guys that I might possibly be facing and in the division. And then when he fought Kwan One Il, I thought, you know what, it's a tough fight for him. Although Kwan One Il is apparently a bantamweight, he fights at featherweight, and he's been putting guys out. He's got strong hands, but that fight really surprised me because I thought Kwan One Il was like had better takedown defense, or being at that level, you got to have somewhat of a decent defensive grappling, standard in your striking game, and yeah, he had nothing, and he got out muscled and out wrestled by Matsushima.
Yeah, I guess he has earned a shot at your title. A lot of people believe that he hasn't earned a shot at your title. Were you kind of surprised that he got,
Look,
this fight?
um, at the end of the day, man, he's taken all of Gaffarov's victories. He's taken all of Kwan Il's victories underneath his wings. Is catapulting him to the top. Um, I don't. I mean, he deserves it, man. Like, he's fought his way. He's fought his way. Fought a top three. He fought a guy on a winning streak. It can possibly be another chance of him fighting someone else before my fight, but realistically, I wanted to get in there as soon as possible, keep defending as much as possible, and he was a guy on my radar that I wanted to fight as well. So in a way, he earned the fight, and I'm honored to face him.
Before this fight was announced, you flew down to Florida, to train at HardKnocks, your new team. Why did you go down there so, early before the fight was announced?
Yeah, so I I was asked by Chatri when I would like to get back into the cage, and for me, I was on a holiday at the time, and I was like, you know what, I won't think about anything in fighting until I get back and start getting into the rhythm of things again. But I was looking at everything, and I was contemplating my time, and I was so sorting out my calendar, and I was like, you know what, um, now that we're bringing up the subject of when I want to get back in there, I want to get back in there again around August. And I was looking at the fight calendar, and I was looking at the cards, and although Vietnam was on the cards, but then I heard speculations, so I didn't want to take any chances. I said, you know what, I spoke to Angla, and I spoke to Henry, and they offered, not officially offered, but they brought up last night's card in July, and I was like, oh man, I'll fight sooner than later, And I spoke with Henry, and Henry goes, no, it's too soon. I want to work with you much more. And so the next card after that was Manila, and I was like, I brought up Manila, and it got addressed to the board, and I took a chance by just coming over here and started to get either way. Even if I didn't get a fight, I got better. I'm getting better, and I'm always evolving. Um, and sure enough, I got offered an athlete in main carding, like a stacked card, you know.
Your training camp, how is it structured? Do you do it all yourself, or do you have a particular person kind of like outlining the week for you?
Yeah, so when I used to train in Australia, everything was whatever I wanted to do, catered to myself, you know, and in a way it worked for me. I won two titles out of it, but it wasn't it wasn't the training that I needed, and yeah, it wasn't the training that I needed to be beyond where I wanted to be. And yeah, it was always like a picture in my head that I'm always at the top because I train to how I want it and how I'm like everything's comfortable. But realistically, in a real man's world, the shit that I was doing, man, it was only because you were the top. You wanted to be the top in Australia, not the world, you know. And it was just it was just a point that I needed to step out of the side circle and go train in Florida. But yeah, since coming to Florida, the training schedule is set. You got two times a day. First sessions at 10:30. Second session, depending if it's strength conditioning or if it's kickboxing at night or wrestling at night, it can range from 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30. Yeah, the latest you'll be out of that gym and home eating dinner is probably 9:30. And yeah, every single day it's all scheduled up until Saturday, and Sunday is like my favorite day of the week. It's our day off. Yeah,
I
man,
see that you, yeah, I see
it's
that
a
you've
grind.
added like also, recovery. It seems like a lot of recovery. I saw a video, I think Angela put it up, of you getting some acupuncture and you were just like screaming. Talk about that.
Oh, dude. So every single part of my body. So one week I'll go for my legs. One week I'll go for my shoulders, my neck, any little bit I can. I'll just go in there just to get something done. And yesterday he was working on my legs, and holy, Dr. Keith from acupuncture and rolfing, man, his elbows are like gold. You know, if he doesn't have his elbows, he's got no money making material. You know, so he put me to work, man, honestly, and it freaking hurts. And every single time I walk in those doors, man, I see him, I'm like, hey, it's nice to meet you, but what am I doing here, man? Like, I'm putting myself through pain. I can get freaking punched in the face, rather get punched in the face, you know? But it's all for a good purpose, man. And recovery, obviously, is the main thing when it comes to mixed martial arts athlete. And yeah, you got to do what you got to do, man.
What is the stable like of featherweights that you're training with right now, preparing for Matsushima?
Yeah, so I've got, man, there's a lot of guys in that gym, man. And to throw a few names off the bat, my main training partners at the moment. So there's there's Kenny Porter, there's Sean Soriano, there's Nick Lentz, um, there's Nick Lentz, there's Gilbert Burns, there's Herbert Burns. Um, man, I'm going with a lot of guys in that gym, and they're all full of killers, man. And you know what? It's to be a lion, man. You got to train with lions, and all these guys are hungry to make it to that next level, or they're already at that next level, and their success rubs off on you. And man, it's a killer room, man. And I'm blessed to be a part of the team. Yeah.
This fight coming up is your eighth straight co-main or main event billing. The events, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. GSP said, before in an interview that it doesn't matter, how many fights he's had. He always gets, nervous. He always gets scared before a fight. Is being in a spotlight something that you are accustomed to now, or do you still get nervous before fights?
Yeah, look, the lead up to the fights, like the training weeks that I have, I always say to myself, have I done enough? Am I evolving? Am I getting better? Or I always ask myself some questions that every morning I wake up, what's the plans today? How am I going to execute it? And how am I going to come up on top? And, you always question and you always doubt, but the people around you, the circle around you, like the guys that you train with, they know from when you first came to where you're at now to when you start peaking, how much you've changed, and you just go off whatever they say, man. And even the coaches, when they watch you from start to finish. So this camp was the first time ever I left my family for. It'll be 8.5 weeks next Thursday, 8 weeks, 5 days, and it's the longest I've been away from them, And from the first time when I came here, um, to now, it's like I've been accustomed. I'm accustomed to everything, and I've stepped up with all the big guys and all the monsters in that room, man. They tell me after every session what how I've improved, and like we all rub off each other's success, man. It's pretty good. But yeah, in terms of the nerves and everything like that, come fight week, man, I'm the most relaxed athlete you ever find in that room. Everyone's weighing in, everyone's constantly checking their weight and worried about their weight. Man, I'm underweight at the moment, man. Like I can eat anything I want. I had pizza. We had pasta tonight. I had a freaking man. I eat anything I want, and I train hard, and I'm still underweight. So yeah, fight week, I feel like $1 million, man.
Yeah, that card is a massive card that you're headlining. Did you ever think that you would be headlining an event with Demetrius Johnson and Eddie Alvarez underneath you fighting before you?
Look, I don't really look into that, man. Like I'm just actually glad that I still get to fight at the highest level that I can be, and still compete with these guys you know, um, who are considered at the highest level. Um, whether DJ or Alvarez is on the card or not, like, I'm full of gratitude that I get opportunities to headline an event, and what better way to do it than Thriller in Manila, part 5 for me now.
I want to go back to Japan. You were there for Fernandez versus Belagon 3. You fought both of those guys. Kevin was disqualified for illegal blows to the back of the head and lost the title. What did you think about that situation and the result?
Look, at the end of the day, an illegal move is an illegal move. They both did illegal moves, and they both is. I'd say they both have to just own up to their responsibilities. It's just a shame that Bibiana couldn't move forward and move on, but he wasn't proud of getting the title that way. So that's why obviously they're doing a fourth fight. But man, it's always a fight between those two guys, man. Always a tough fight, and you never know who's going to come up on top. Credential wise, Bibiano should be the one that's coming out on top, but you can never count out Bellingon. That's one thing that I did, and I paid the consequences hefty and pretty bad too. So Bellingon, man, he's just one of those guys where you can never count him out, and the Team Lakai guys, they always come to fight. So it'll be a tough fight for Bibiano again, but we'll see who prevails.
You mentioned Vietnam earlier. MMA is still not legalized in that country. There's rumors flying around that they could have a card, but the card will be fully super series fights. All
Yes,
kickboxing and Muay Thai. Have you heard anything? Can you give us any information about what's going on with that?
it's definitely a super series event. MMA is still illegal in Vietnam. I think more the grappling side and the ground and pound side that the officials don't like about it. But one step at a time, man. It's baby steps in Vietnam, and they'll come around to terms eventually. And they have superstar athletes like myself and being Nguyen and a lot of Vietnamese athletes that are stepping it up and taking on MMA in opposed to just jiu-jitsu, in opposed to just kickboxing or Muay Thai. And there's a lot of Vietnamese athletes around the world, and so I think eventually Vietnam will fall into the mixed martial arts world. But for now, I think it's just all about getting into the market, and one championship has done the right thing. One of the first companies ever to step foot in Vietnam now. So you got to start from somewhere.
Definitely. Well, you get back in that cage August 2nd, one Dawn of Heroes, defending your title. Manila. Thanks, Martin, for your time, and always good talking to you. And I love seeing the progression, and the future that you have is bright.
Thanks, bro. Thank you so much.